We saw that surprise drop in Foxconn's earnings, partially because of slowing demand for iPhones. How can they successfully wean themselves of being so dependent on the iPhone maker?
Foxconn's founder, Terry Gou, for the last several years has really been trying to find out how does Foxconn exist a little bit more independently of Apple. Right now, I think roughly 54% of the company's profits come because of its relationship with Apple, and I think he knows well enough that this is not the way to have a successful business, to be such, almost like a subsidiary to Apple in some of these ways. So he's spun off a company, I think about several months ago, which is trying to focus more on the high-tech space. He's trying to make Hanhai or Foxconn be more of an AI innovator in itself and less just a place that manufactures and puts together parts for other companies. Makes a lot of money doing it, but I think he wants to climb up the value chain.
And we have a whole slew of tech earnings coming out of Asia this week and next. Are you thinking that we're going to see any impact of the tariffs on their earnings announcements, or is it too early to say?
I think it's a very important question. And I think if we do see a negative impact, it's a really good sign that investors are gearing in for a long-term, not necessarily slowdown, but a long-term hit because of US-China trade tensions. And conversely, if all of the declines or increases we see from expectations of some of the tech companies' earnings are mostly positive, then I think that's a sign that investors see this as just a little blip and that it's not going to have a big push on the economic story.
And we have JD reporting this week and Alibaba next. They both have pretty small parts of their businesses that are exporting to the U.S. But what are some of the other risk factors that these companies could be facing? We've heard many of Alibaba's executives come out publicly and say that these tariffs are going to hurt the greater Chinese economy and relationships.
So the most important asset that any Chinese firm has is its relationship with the Communist Party. Alibaba famously purchased the South China Morning Post, a newspaper that was sometimes critical of Beijing, as a way, most likely, to help curry favor with Beijing. So I think risk factors that rarely get discussed for Chinese companies but are very important are: what is JD's top leadership's relationship with the party? What is Alibaba's top leadership's relationship with the party? We saw that a little bit with the news from Tencent and the banning of this very, very profitable video game. Now, it's unlikely that Chinese regulators thought, oh gosh, a lot of people are complaining about this, therefore let's pull this very profitable game. Much more likely is that it's some sort of sign or a signal to Tencent to make sure that it stays in line with what the Communist Party's goals are for the company and for China.
And how much of Tencent's struggles do you attribute to these regulatory concerns, or do you think there are some actual issues with their core business?
I mean, I think a worry about this is that Tencent, before it built the hugely popular WeChat, was a gaming company. And if they are not able to figure out how to license a very successful game and make it work in China, the game had, I think, 1 million pre-orders before Beijing pulled the plug. If they're not able to do this, then it's just a really worrying sign that maybe they're growing too big, too fast, and they are moving away from their core competencies in a way that is not helpful for the business.
Right, Tencent for a while was seen as this unshakable gaming and social media giant. What is the signal exactly that the Chinese government is trying to send to them?
It's very difficult to know. It's possible that it's much more focused on what they think the games are doing to China's youth. I think more likely is it's a reminder to Tencent that the party is the one that makes the final decisions. WeChat has, I think, roughly 1 billion users worldwide. It is far and away the most popular Chinese app for messaging, for ordering food, for ordering taxis, and it is, on the one hand, a nice ledger that the Communist Party has the ability to see all of these transactions and all these communications between people, but I think Beijing also wants to make it very clear to Tencent that this product cannot be used in ways that go against Beijing's interests.